touching myself.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Brothers podcast. It's Josh. It's almost week 9.
Pretty close.
Just one more day.
I don't even want to watch the game tomorrow, dude.
What is it? Titans
Titans
and
and the
who are they
Steelers.
playing? Oh,
That's a
Kenny
terrible
Pickett's
game.
not going to play.
That's a terrible game. I guess I'll pay attention because I'll be interested to see what Will Levis does.
Watch him go out and suck.
I won't be surprised. Actually, our buddy Jake, he's got Will Levis in one of our main dynasty leagues, and he's in the middle of a rebuild, and he knows that, and he was like, I don't know what I should sell Will Levis for. He's like, I'm getting offers, but I'm getting offers of like a bunch of players who all score like a total of 6 points a week. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I told him, like, I don't. Will Levis could turn out to be nothing, and I won't be surprised if he does. But you can't like sell him for nothing because there's a chance he is something. It's only been one game,
Yeah,
so
the one game was really great. And you're right. You don't want to sell Will Levis for nothing. On the flip side, though, if you get something maybe not even great, but like halfway decent, I might take it and maybe
maybe the Kirk Cousins owner,
sure.
find that guy.
I didn't believe in Will Levis in the pre-draft process. I didn't think he was all that good. I thought he was overvalued. That said, though, I mean you're right. There's probably something there if you could go out in your debut and throw 4 touchdowns. Touchdowns are fluky, but still, that's something. So all of that to say, I have no clue how to value Will Levis right
I
now.
don't either. I would.
I
I
mean, if
mean,
I
I'm really just hold him. Like obviously, if I can get something, what's decent to you?
well, okay, what I was just going to ask you was, I think we would both agree that if you were offered any first round pick in a super flex league, you would take it.
Yeah, I think I would do that.
If you're offered a second round pick or something
Unless it's
along
like
those
the
lines,
team
what are you
that's
doing?
like in last place and like way in last place.
Yeah.
Like you can guarantee me that's the 201. Sure. But it looks like Will Levis. I mean, he is a starting quarterback in the NFL now. Like, I don't think they're going to go back to Tannehill. Malik Willis is not going to play. So, like, Will Levis is the starter in Tennessee.
What if you got offered something with Mac Jones as the central piece, which is like nobody really is excited about Mac. If you need a start, you can kind of throw him in there, but it doesn't feel great. But he's the starter. He's got the job.
See, that's tough too. Like, I know he's the starter, but I feel like Will Levis is kind of the starter too. And I know what Mac Jones is. I don't really know what Will Levis is yet. So,
Yeah,
is
we
there a
don't.
chance he's nothing? Yes. But Mac Jones isn't really all that much either. So, I kind of would rather just take the shot on Will Levis. And if it misses, oh well, I missed out on Mac Jones. Whoop de doo.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny too because Levis could go out tomorrow and just fall on his face and never see a start again.
And he's going up against the Steelers, so that's not an easy matchup. If he performs well tomorrow night, we might be talking.
Yeah, I mean there's two very distinctly different ways this could go. I mean, he because Mike Vrabel has already said in press conferences that he would like Ryan Tannehill to play if he's healthy. Obviously, he's not, so he's not available. But like if Levis goes out there and has another good game, let's say he just has, you know, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, maybe a pick, maybe not, I don't know, but like a fine good start. Doesn't have to be 4 touchdowns like it was on Sunday. He could very well have locked himself into another start and then it could just sort of snowball. But like if he goes out there and falls flat on his face and just it's a tire fire, I don't know if he gets on the field again the rest of the year. We saw it with Malik Willis last year already where like he had one bad start last year and he was
Yeah, but
done.
we knew Malik Willis was not going to be a good quarterback. Like everybody knew that. Will Levis, at least, he's a quarterback.
He is a quarterback. Malik Willis maybe could benefit from a switch to receiver.
Yeah, I don't. I never was in on Malik Willis. I'm sorry if you bought into it or anybody out there who bought into it. No. Not the guy.
Oh, we got a great episode today. We got a bunch of news. So much has happened. The trade deadline has come and gone. We may or may not have specifically waited to record this episode until we knew what the trade deadline was going to give us.
Josh was also giving out Halloween candy to children last night. So
I was.
he
I
picked kids over
definitely-
this. That's embarrassing.
I did. You got to do it for the kids, man.
I tried to get him
Uh,
to live stream this while he's handing out Halloween candy, but instead we just give start sit advice to everyone who comes to the door.
They come up to the door and nobody asked, but hey,
I don't
you
have a
should
Kit
start-
Kat, but you should definitely be running out Devonta Smith this week.
Yes. T. Higgins must start. Here you go. Here's a Rice Krispie treat.
Oh no! I don't have any candy. People aren't paying us money yet for this show, so I can't afford to buy candy for kids.
Fair enough.
It's their
We
problem.
got
It's not my
studs.
problem.
We got weenies. We got week 9 starts of the week. And I'm sure at some point Ben's going to be mad at me. It's just how this thing goes.
I'm mad at myself too, so don't take it too personally.
Oh no.
I'm always mad at myself.
Oh, okay. It's just like a constant
Yeah.
self-loathing.
It is.
Okay.
Brutal.
Shall we hop into the news?
Let's do it.
The
Probably
I
the
need a
worst
little
news of the
choir.
day.
Yeah, I need a little finger violin or something. Just sadness. Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles, done for the year. The Vikings, in the wake of the injury, traded for Josh Dobbs. No Kirk, it's Dobbs, and the Vikings. It sucks for the Vikings. They started out 1-4 and then won 3 games in a row. They're 4-4. And now their playoff hopes are destroyed.
They're not out of it yet. They can maybe piece something together. I don't know. It sucks. People who hate on Kirk are about to find out just what he did for the Vikings, and especially for fantasy value of players. He kept a lot of stuff up there. T.J. Hawkinson is amazing because of Kirk Cousins. Jordan Addison is amazing because of Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson, I think, he's an incredible player no matter what. But it helps having a quarterback like Kirk Cousins out there throwing in the ball. I think if Josh Dobbs ends up getting some starts, the values of these guys don't necessarily just tank. I think he can support most of the guys to be at least viable, but it hurts.
You're still probably starting Hawkinson just because.
He's still going to be a target hog in the offense. They're still going to scheme him touches because he's one of their best players.
Yeah. And the tight end situation, it just is what it is. Like, if you have a good one, you kind of just have to play him anyway. So I can't see a scenario where anybody won't want to start Hawkinson. I guess, I mean, I know Jefferson, once he comes back,
And I
you're
have
gonna
heard
play him.
reports that he may come back sooner rather than later, where he
Yeah.
doesn't wait the full 6 weeks, and he does. Obviously, this is just people speculating, but they're saying there's a good chance he does come back in just 4 weeks.
That would be interesting.
I hope he does.
I can see them being like, okay, we need you because if we don't have you, we're just going to lose every game.
If he comes back, I don't necessarily think he's not the top play like he has been in the first 4 weeks of the season. I'd still say he's the top 10 option.
Yeah, I asked you this earlier today. Would you rather have Jalen Waddle rest of season or Justin Jefferson? Assuming we're gonna have the rest of season start when Jefferson gets back, but
Yeah,
Waddle or
assuming he comes back in 4 weeks, is fully healthy. I think I still take Jefferson. He's that dude.
he is that dude. It's very tough to bet against a guy who is, when healthy, the best receiver in the NFL. Those kind of guys, I mean, D-Hop did it for years. Those kind of guys just tend to produce no matter what.
I mean, he was the consensus wide receiver 1 coming into this year.
And he lived up to it this year so far when he was healthy. So I guess the question for me with the offense is about Jordan Addison more than the other two, because I think the other two are pretty much locked in. Addison is what?
I think with obviously with no Jefferson the way it has been, he's been a locked in top 15 option. With no Jefferson, I still think he's top 24 at least, just because of targets. If no Jefferson or Jefferson does come back, obviously no Kirk, it gets a little murky. Because I think Jefferson will still be fine, Hawkinson will still be fine, especially because he's a tight end. But obviously it would be Josh Dobbs or I don't even, who's the backup that they said was going to start this week. I don't even remember.
Jaron Hall.
Or Jaron Hall. That's one. If Addison has a good week in the next couple weeks, I would try to sell him.
Is that a redraft take or is that also
That's a redraft
dynasty
take.
thing?
I would
Okay.
say he's a buy in Dynasty if with no Kirk Cousins. Like, see if you can like get the Addison owners panicked. Like, he's been great. Now I don't have Kirk. Go get some. See if you can get something for him,
Yeah. I
or
think
see if
I'm
you can
with
buy
there.
him. Sorry.
Yeah, because you could probably. There's going to be somebody who's like willing to take a second for him that just needs something.
Oh gosh, sort of idiots are you playing with?
There's going to be
I'll take a
somebody.
second for Jordan Addison. You had to pay like the 107 to get him, but
Oh, I know. It happens all the time. There's always loopholes in there or guys that you didn't think would end up being cheap that just you see the deal come through and you're like, "Oh my god. How did that happen?" Happens every year.
and then you're mad because like I would have paid that for him. Like, jeez,
Exactly. You just feel like an idiot because you're not the
just
one who asked.
tell me you're willing to sell him, please.
Yeah. It happens all the time. All the time.
All right.
Okay, Raiders. Josh McDaniels fired, the GM fired, and in the wake of all that,
Praise.
they have said that Aiden O'Connell will start at quarterback Sunday over Jimmy Garoppolo.
Can't be worse.
Literally, you can't. I didn't watch the Monday night game. Actually, let's
Did?
back up. Let's back up.
And explain your situation.
Yeah, in the granddaddy of them all, I was up, what was it, 25 points going into the Monday night game.
I think so.
And my opponent had Sam Laporta and Devontae Adams. And I made a conscious decision not to watch the Monday night game because I knew likely I was going to lose and I was just going to watch it happen. And I just didn't really want to watch it
I've been there and
slowly.
it hurts.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch the death by a thousand cuts. And I knew it was coming and I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up in the morning and we'll just see what happened. So I get up and I go and look at the lineup to see how we did, and I see, oh wow, I won. I wonder what happened. I look, and Sam Laporta had 16 fantasy points.
He had like 18, 19. Like he balled.
He went nuts. And I was like, there is absolutely no way that I lost when Sam Laporta had 17, 18, whatever it was, fantasy points, which means Devontae Adams needed to score 7 and did not. And I go look, and he had like 1 catch or something, 2 catches for 20 yards. It was terrible.
Now we'll preview the weekly weenies. Devontae's on here with 1 catch for 11 yards.
The worst part of it is, and obviously I didn't know this because I didn't watch the game,
I did.
he was wide open on 2 very
Twice.
long touchdowns.
Right before halftime, he would have had a 98-yarder, but Jimmy missed him. And then, like, late in the fourth quarter, he was, like, unguarded on a 60-yarder.
Just missed him. I mean, that's 150 yards and 2 touchdowns right there.
And he hit 7 targets. So it's not like they just weren't looking at him. They were.
Jimmy just missed. It was bad.
Which
It was
is
really
why,
bad.
I mean, you can't help but be excited. I mean, you cannot be worse than what they were. So Aiden O'Connell can't, I mean, what are you going to, not throw it to him? Okay, that's the same as what we had on Monday night, so fine. And he's not broken physically like Jimmy G is, because Jimmy G doesn't look good.
No,
He
looked
looks
really
injured.
bad. I could almost see a scenario where they go out and target Devontae like 20 times.
As they should. Do what Aaron
mean,
Rodgers used to do and just throw it to him over and over and over and
yeah,
over.
it's so crazy because he's getting open, and there's stuff happening, but
He looks like the Devontae of old, where he's just so silky smooth, and he just can lose a defender out of nowhere.
yeah,
But the difference is the quarterback.
it's really rough. I feel bad for him. Matthew Stafford sprained the UCL in his thumb on Sunday.
Same as the one he had a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right. I saw something today that said he could play week 9, but it's possible that he sits week 9 and comes back week 10.
Yeah, they had talked about IR. McVay came out today and said that absolutely we are not putting him on IR. That's not an option. I don't think he plays this week. Maybe next week. We'll see. So down tick, Cup, and Nakua.
I think they have the bye week in week 10.
So it makes sense for him to miss these next 2 weeks.
Yeah. I need to look because I was looking at my bye weeks. Just look to see what am I missing. Yeah, so their bye week's week 10, which means that this week I have no Christian McCaffrey and no Javonte Williams. And next week I'm playing you without Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, and AJ Brown.
Is this in the granddaddy of them all?
Yes.
No, you're playing me this week.
Oh, I'm playing you this week. Well, I'm
So
gonna lose
I
you
don't have
this
to
week.
deal with McCaffrey.
You don't. You get to dodge the McCaffrey bullet.
Thank God.
I guess I'm just getting my bad bye weeks in 2 weeks in a row. It's going to be so much fun.
You're 8-0 though, so you'll be all right.
I am, but I really once you win 8 weeks consecutively, you're like an undefeated season would be very nice.
I had one last year. Guess what? I didn't win the championship.
Well, you were in the championship.
I was in it. Didn't win.
Okay. Taylor Heineke is starting for the
Yes. Yes.
I don't know
Oh,
why you're so excited.
because for Kyle Pitts and Drake London, that's all I'm excited for.
I know you texted me earlier today when you saw that Desmond Ridder was benched, and I hate to break it to you, Ben. The problem has not been the quarterback. The problem is your head coach.
Yes, it is. Well, let me back up. The problem is Arthur Smith, but Desmond Ridder is not good. He's
I
not.
agree. He's not good.
I've
I
seen
don't think
Taylor
Tyler
Heineke play.
Heineke's very good.
I don't think Taylor Heineke's very good either. But I've seen Taylor Heineke play far better football than I've ever seen Desmond Ridder play. I've seen Taylor Heineke almost beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. That's what I've seen.
Yeah. I have seen that.
I've seen Desmond Ridder miss Kyle Pitts wide open 20 or 30 times.
I have seen that as well.
So, you can
You're
get
about to
why
watch-
I'd be excited for Taylor Heineke over Desmond Ridder.
You're about to watch Taylor Heineke miss him wide open too.
And no, I'm not.
It's gonna happen. You're Sunday. You're gonna get all excited because you're gonna be like, you know what? It might happen. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. We have hope, and then it's gonna be dashed when at about 1:45 you realize Taylor Heineke actually sucks.
We'll see.
You have nothing to lose. Your emotions are already so frayed.
We will see. I've been a part of many 1-point performances from Kyle Pitts. I think Taylor Heineke raises the fantasy production of the offense. I don't think he's
Fair.
great.
DeAndre Hopkins is banged up on Sunday, so he is questionable for Thursday night?
Questionable. He didn't practice today, I don't think. So it's
Okay.
just kind of a situation to monitor.
If he doesn't go, Will Levis is toast.
Now
right?
I'm worried. I'm already worried because it's the Steelers defense, and sorry, I'm throwing things. And now he's going to be without D-Hop potentially. That's not good.
That would not be good at all. Darren Waller hurt his hamstring again.
This is why I'm excited for Kyle Pitts.
You're
And
not
probably
excited.
our
You're
s-
just like you're glad that you
And
have
probably
somebody.
our second biggest, I guess, dynasty league. I've had Kyle Pitts, since his rookie year. and then this offseason traded for Darren Waller because I was sick of the Kyle Pitts experience, but I didn't want to sell him. Now I'm excited for Kyle Pitts because I have to start him.
I figured
I'll
this
have an option.
hamstring. I'll be honest with you. I kind of thought it was a ticking time bomb after it was initially injured. I think it was in training camp. Was it? I had a feeling this might happen with Darren Waller.
And yet he was a my guy for you.
He was, but I'm pretty sure we did our my guys before the hamstring injury came out.
Liar.
Well, now his hamstring's hurt. He might go on IR. It sucks because he's been the only good pass catcher in that offense. He's been the only one that has looked remotely decent.
I mean, I'm not super upset with him going to the IR for the simple fact of the quarterback play he's had.
Oh, it's been terrible.
I mean, I might as well send him to the IR and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, it's been so bad. Okay, trade deadline. We've got a couple deals to talk about. Not a whole lot in terms of fantasy. I'll be honest with you.
For a fantasy trade line deadline, this was very boring.
Pretty much. The only offensive one of note was Donovan Peoples-Jones was traded to the
When that's your
Lions.
biggest name.
Yeah. I guess good for them. Maybe they weren't happy with Josh Reynolds. I know they're probably not happy with Jamison Williams because he has been a pumpkin.
He's dropped a lot of passes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've watched many Lions games, but I have, and he's dropping a lot of passes.
He's not looked very good. They have needed a serviceable wide receiver too. And I think Donovan Peoples-Jones can be an okay wide receiver too. Maybe not a great wide receiver too, but he's all right. Especially when, if we're really honest, the pass catcher number 2 is Sam Laporta. So he's really the number 3 in the offense.
Yeah. So, whoop-de-doo. I mean, this is not not an amazing signing here.
There's nothing good. A couple of defensive moves we've got him in here because
Some big defensive moves.
they're wild. Chase Young was traded to the 49ers. Montez
For a
Sweat
third.
to the Bears. Leonard Williams to the Seahawks.
Only, I guess, fantasy-wise notable is 49ers defense is probably a little scarier.
Yeah.
You saw Joe Burrow shred it, and the defense has been really bad the past couple weeks. Adding Chase Young to go on the other side of Nick Bosa, that can fix a lot of problems.
That will help you. I think I saw he had 6.5 sacks in 7 games.
That's not bad.
Not
No,
bad.
Montez Sweat has that. Does Chase Young have that too?
Chase Young has.
I know
6.5.
Sweat has 6.5 sacks. Who they traded them to the Bears.
Yeah.
And which leads me in my other fantasy point of Sam Howell's been very fantasy relevant. Probably going to have to stay that way because they just traded their entire defensive line outside of Jonathan Allen.
It's literally Jonathan
So now they're going to
Allen.
have to throw more.
I feel bad for Jonathan Allen because they had at one point Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, and then the 2 edge rushers. Do they still have Daron Payne? Or did they let him go?
I want to say they do still have Daron Payne.
Okay, I think
But
they
I'm not
might have
sure.
paid him, and then they paid Allen, and so then they couldn't pay the other 2. But that defense was leaky. It was good on paper, but it was leaky, and it got worse.
You just traded 2 of your best players.
That sucks. That sucks a lot. Seattle getting Leonard Williams. Big deal for me because now finally perhaps because we have been so leaky defending the run.
Nope.
I mean, for
gonna
years,
happen.
Seattle
Ain't gonna
has not been able to defend the run.
Ain't going to happen.
It helps. It at least helps.
You
Shall
got
we
to
talk?
be negative about Taylor Heineke. I get to be negative about Leonard Williams.
Fair enough. Shall we talk some Week 8 studs? We should probably actually talk about Week 8 a little bit before we get into Week 9. A couple of these headlines, I'll run through them, and then we can just touch on them, how we feel like Will Levis exploded, the 4 touchdowns, obviously. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Finally!
90 yards and a touchdown.
Let's go!
He exploded Monday night. Joe Burrow exploded. CeeDee Lamb exploded. And Javonte Williams finally looks like an elite running back.
It was great. I was very happy to see it. I'm obviously very heavily invested in Jahmyr Gibbs. Paid a lot for him that we talked about before in one dynasty league to go get him because I believe in him. I will be looking for a bridge if Dave Montgomery comes back and Jahmyr Gibbs goes back to like a 30% snap share. As good as he's been, I don't see how you can justify doing that. So hopefully he's just been good enough to where it is a little bit more of a 50-50 split than just Montgomery getting all the touches. I'm very heavily invested in the Bengals offenses. They've won me championships in the past. Been rocky this year, but Burrow looks healthy. And a healthy Joe Burrow is a scary Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, CD, I don't really know what to say. He's elite. This is what happens when you throw him the ball. He's
This
good.
is what happens when they have a good game script. When
Get your good players the ball.
Yeah, they have a few games a year like this where they just destroy somebody and it's over before it started. I how much do you really take from this? I don't know. But like
We already know CD's good.
exactly, good for them. Javante's interesting because he has really not been great. And it's not that he hasn't performed on a per touch basis. Like he's looked pretty good in the sort of split backfield workload that he's had so far. But Sunday he finally, and part of this is because they were smashing the Chiefs. And so they were
Where
in
did that come from?
Yeah, wild. I don't know. But they were in the sort of game script where you're going to give your running back a lot of touches, and they did. He had 30 touches, and I'm pretty sure it was like
carries.
what was that?
27 carries, 30 total.
There you go. And I think he had 83% of the running back workload. So
McLaughlin and Perine combined for 5 carries.
there you go. Finally, Javonte Williams looks like a workhorse post knee injury. So I guess my question for you is I don't know how many of these types of games they're going to play the rest of the year. They're not the team that was the first couple weeks where they were just getting destroyed by everybody. They have shored some things up a little bit.
They just beat the Chiefs. I mean,
yeah, big difference from giving up 70 to the Dolphins. So they're much improved right now. I guess rest of season, where are you at with Javonte Williams?
I should have known you'd ask me that question because I didn't think of an answer.
I think for me, he's like a top 15-ish running back.
Yeah,
like closer
I
to
would
15.
probably go 15-ish area. I could see his range of outcomes being as high as 10-ish and as low as 20-ish. So like, there's a big field of variance for Javonte, but he's got a stranglehold now. I feel like so he's not going to be going forward. Like him and Breece Hall are finally both. I think they're getting healthy at the same time because they had injuries right at the same time. So now you're really seeing the two of them start to click.
Yeah, I think Breece Hall ramped up a little bit quicker, and we saw a couple weeks.
Javonte had a more devastating injury than Hall did.
He did. His was rough. But I think just to see him pass the eye test too, that has been the good part. Because you're right, he had a rough injury. I mean, it was everything in the knee.
Hall's was like a just a clean ACL, whereas Javonte had MCL and I think something else too. So his was like a blowout kind of thing.
Yeah. So to see him look good and be efficient on a per touch basis, to have some burst, that's really nice to see. And so I think
he's a very good pass catcher too, which he always has been.
Yeah. So rest of the season he is ready to rock and roll. Shall we talk weenies?
Some big names on the weenie list today. Let's start out with probably the biggest name in football. Patrick Mahomes. 5 points. 5 in the first quarter, you say? No. 5 in the first half? No. 5 points for the entire game against the Denver Broncos, who gave up a historic amount of points just a few weeks ago to the Dolphins.
What do you think Mahomes' excuse was?
That he said?
No. Just, I mean, like, if he were to have an excuse, what would it be?
Get the dang man some receivers. Somebody. Anybody. McCole Hardman is not the answer. He had, I mean, still, that's Patrick Mahomes. I expect better than 5 against
was
a bad
bad.
defense.
It was very bad.
Let's move on to my start of the week, shall we? Now, I
Mm.
did say this was like a caveat start of the week that I was willing to start him this week, but if he doesn't perform, I'm completely done. And guess what? I am completely done with Miles Sanders. Over. That's it. I thought he would still, quote unquote, be the lead back coming out of the bye, like he's been a little banged up. No, no. He had 2 carries for 0 yards. No targets, no receptions, nothing other than 2 carries. Chuba Hubbard is the bona fide starter in Carolina.
Yeah, I don't think Miles Sanders is healthy.
Yeah, but he was practicing. They said he was healthy. I don't know. I don't know, man.
It was weird. I would
Long
be
story
out
short is
too.
I'm out. I'm not starting him again
Yeah,
anymore.
I would be out too, but I do think the reason for it is that he's not healthy.
I would start Chuba Hubbard over him until
Yeah.
further notice.
Yeah, until you see it switch back, yeah, for sure, start Chuba Hubbard.
Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua. Cooper Cup had 6 points. Puka Nakua had 7 points. Partially the Stafford injury, partially because the offense looks weird, and
Partially because they were playing the Cowboys.
I was still it's Cooper Cup.
Yeah, but
That's Cooper Cup.
we know
Coming
that
into
they're.
this season, he
I know.
had like it's been like 20 something games since he's had like less than 16.
I know.
He's had single digits 2 weeks in a row.
I know. I, I do, but also the Cowboys. There's always a chance that they just destroy you. Like they just come out with an uppercut and you're out. You're done. You're on the mat and it's game over in the first quarter. And that's basically what happened Sunday.
Tony Pollard only had 6 points. He's on this list.
They scored 43 points. I mean,
And Tony Pollard had 6.5 fantasy points.
yeah.
Unacceptable.
I mean, you get a pick six, your defense scores. Did they score twice on defense?
I just know who didn't score, and that's Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua.
Yeah, they did not.
That's the man we feel the most sorry for, but he's on the list because guess what? You didn't get me any points in my fantasy lineup, so you're on this list. I'm sorry, Devontae Adams.
Brutal.
You should have had like 40 points this week, but you only had 2, so here you go.
Legitimately, he should have had 40.
Yeah, exactly. He
That's
should have
not
had,
even exaggeration.
no, it should have been 40 points.
Yeah.
Instead, he has 2. And
Hmm.
last but not least, this is probably a decent game by his standards for fantasy. But Kyle Pitts is still on the list because 6.5 points ain't gonna get it done.
That's a good Sunday's work for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, like that's good by his standards. I expect better,
What is that? 4 for 40 in a PPR.
something like that. I don't know.
That's pretty good for Kyle Pitts. There
All I
was a
know is-
play when the tight end passed
Jonnu Smith.
a pass to the tight end 3, and Kyle Pitts blocked.
I saw that and I almost threw my phone at the television. You have Kyle Pitts. You have B. And for some godforsaken reason, Jonnu Smith is throwing passes to I don't even know who the
Michael
third tight
Pruitt.
end. Michael Pruitt.
Michael Pruitt. How happy did that make you?
Arthur, do you like your job? Hey, you like that job, Arthur?
Did you see his press conference when somebody was asking him prior to week 8 about Bijan's usage and Drake London's usage and just like basically just asking him, why do you have all these good offensive players that aren't really doing anything?
Oh, we're doing what's best for the team. That's what we're doing. So, I don't know what you want from me. That's
He's
kind
like,
of what he
talk
says
about
every
global
time.
warming.
You want to talk about
Let's
global
talk
warming?
about global warming.
Let's talk about global warming. You ask me these questions then. No, I ask you why the top 5 picks that you drafted aren't getting the ball. They weren't here when you got the job. You drafted them, Arthur. You did.
Can't keep letting him get away with this.
That's all I
I
got to
don't
say.
know what we're gonna do about it, but
How much money is a hitman?
Too much.
Everybody, join into the Patreon. We'll make sure the money gets used for that. The Patreon link is in the description, but it will solely be so we can get Kyle Pitts fantasy points.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be under.
All right, let's talk starts of the week before we get out of here for week 9.
Before the FBI shows up.
Yeah, before we are arrested. Running backs and wide receivers, because we don't talk quarterbacks and tight ends, because
You know who to start.
you know who to start. Running backs, Ben, hit us with your start of the week.
I'm going to go with Isaiah Pacheco versus the Dolphins.
Interesting.
Interesting. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, he's been good enough to where I feel like people would say, well, kind of, yeah, duh, start him. But hear me out. The Dolphins, I think as we might have talked about this last week, the Dolphins' run defense is not amazing. The Chiefs have been struggling offensively. They need to get something going, and they're going to have to keep the Dolphins' offense off the field. That is how you beat them, which means Isaiah Pacheco should be in for a pretty big game, a lot of usage against a defense that can be exploited.
Yeah. I mean, Pacheco, he's kind of a must start right now in a weird sort of way because he doesn't really score a ton. Basically, I mean, the only way he scores is if it's like a 20-plus yard run, which he's had a few. He gets just a little bit of passing work, but he gets 2 downs and, 15 carries a game.
He makes the
He
most of it.
runs in the most uneconomical way possible.
Dum, 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 dum.
He
Just
runs like he's
thunder.
trying to put holes in the ground.
I didn't realize like how good he has been. I was in trade talks
Yeah.
with a guy in one of our leagues, and he asked Pacheco, and we were like, "What about I was trying to get a receiver. He's like, well, we do like this receiver and this receiver, and like you send me Swift and I'll send you Pacheco." And I'm like, and my initial reaction that I said just off the cuff was like, no, like I think DeAndre Swift is a fair amount better than Isaiah Pacheco. I don't really want to move him for Pacheco at all. It's one quarterback league, so running back is a little more higher value, I guess, just with the league setup. So I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not sending Swift. He's like, are you kidding me? Swift is 8 and Pacheco's 9. Like, oops, I didn't know that.
Got your foot in your mouth there for a second.
I still prefer Swift, but I didn't know Pacheco was having as good a season as he was.
Yeah, and it's really just because the running back landscape is so weird. Like, the good ones are all hurt, and the guys that are producing are guys that you think of as like the RB. I mean, let's be honest. If you were just to look at the straight up production on a per game basis for Pacheco and Swift, you would be like, okay, that's like the RB 15 and 16. Like, they're good, but they're
both
not
top 10.
amazing. But they're both top 10 because the running back landscape is desolate.
And even guys who you knew were good, but you probably weren't expecting to be as good, like Travis Etienne. He's the RB2 right now.
Yeah.
I would have
That's
believed
crazy.
top 10. I had him in top 10, but like I didn't think top 3 was in his range of outcomes. And I was fairly high on him coming into this year, but I didn't see that.
I had him at like RB9 or something.
Yeah.
And maybe 8 guys have gotten hurt. But also he has scored he scored a touchdown every week for the past like 6 weeks.
Yeah, he's been very good.
So, yeah, all that to say running backs are weird. And that's why my start of the week at running back is Rashad White.
A terrible
I don't-
actual running back.
I don't think Rashad White is all that good, but
He's not. He's one of the most inefficient running backs per touch, up there with Najee Harris.
yes. I have a very fun stat for you that I just found. This is great. Rashad White in Week 8 versus Buffalo had his highest yards per carry in any game he has had this season. What do you think it was? Just give me a wild guess.
His highest yards per game of any 3.8.
His highest yards per carry of any game this season.
3.8.
No, I mean, it wasn't that bad.
4.
It was 4.3.
That's a great game for for Rashad White.
He's
I mean,
had
he's
2
been averaging
games.
like 2.
Yeah, he's had 2 games this year where he has gone above 4 yards a carry. He's averaging 3.3 for the season. But the reason why he's a start of the week, the past 2 weeks, 6 targets, 7 targets, caught them all, and they're
He
playing the Houston Texans.
he do be catching passes.
He do be catching lots of passes. He had 65 and 70 yards the past 2 weeks receiving. They're playing the Texans, which are still a great matchup for running backs. So Rashad White, it's kind of a matchup based sort of deal, especially in PPR. Honestly, I'm starting him over Derrick Henry in PPR. It feels very weird, but he's just scoring a lot more points than Derrick Henry in PPR right now.
Henry, I do think Henry's on his way back.
Do you? I
I
can't
mean,
figure out.
he kind of dominated touches this past week, like
He
to
did.
where I mean, I just blanked on his name. Who's the other running back?
Tajay Spears.
Tajay Spears was not really on the field much late last week.
It's the game scripts. In games which they lead, Derrick Henry dominates the touches. In games which they are behind, Tajay Spears is on the field a lot. And
Well, I
that
feel like
basically
this coming week, I don't think that's going to be a shootout, so it could be a Derrick Henry game.
it could. I just don't I don't think the Titans are that good. So,
I don't think the Steelers are that good.
no, they're not. You're right, they're not. I don't
Jake's
know.
going to be really mad when he hears me say that.
Well,
They're
Jake,
not. The defense
look in
is
the
really
mirror,
good,
my dude.
but
They're
the
just
offense
not a
is
good team.
abysmal.
It's terrible. If I were Jake, I would be petitioning the Steelers to fire Matt Canada the same way you're petitioning the Falcons. To
Steelers
fire
been
Arthur Smith.
hated Matt Canada for a while now. Nobody you
'cause
talk to
he's
that's
not
a Steelers
good.
fan likes Matt Canada.
This should say something. Matt Canada used to be a OC at NC State, and NC State ride or die, and I don't like Matt Canada. He's
Y'all
garbage.
should want him gone.
He's garbage. He sucks. Wide receiver starts of the week. We just spent so much time trashing Matt Canada for no reason whatsoever.
He
catching
deserves to be
strays.
trashed. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson this week. I think
So you're saying people should start a good player?
I am,
Okay.
but hear me out. Garrett Wilson's a wide receiver 32 on the year.
Hmm.
A lot of us had been having Garrett Wilson close to top 5, sometimes in the top 5 preseason. It's been a tough year for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
And it's all because of Zach Wilson. We all know that. But he got 13 targets last week. He got 12 against Philadelphia. He's had 17 points back-to-back weeks. You're going up against a Chargers defense that we all know the Chargers ain't going to stop nobody. I think this game will be very close. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert will move the ball. As good as the Jets defense is, he's going to score some points. They're going to have to keep up to a certain extent. I think it'll be a fairly low-scoring game, but Garrett Wilson's going to get a ton of targets. And the Chargers
will.
defense is not very good.
He will get 1 million targets. I don't know if that necessarily is a good thing to say about Garrett Wilson. Like, he's going to get 1 million targets. Yes. Where do those targets come from? But you're right. He's going to get 1 million
When he's
targets.
getting
They're playing
13
the
a
Chargers.
game and he's catching 7, I mean, you're still getting 60, 80 yards at minimum, usually.
Usually. Yeah, you would hope. And maybe he scores. How many touchdowns does he have this year? Because I truly have
2.
no idea. Oh, yikes. So he scored a touchdown on let's see if I can remember right, a jump ball and a slant that he took to the house.
That is correct.
Hmm.
Those were all week 1 and 2. Since then, he's had 9 points, 15 points, 8 points, 17 points, and 17 points.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. Not what
I
you
don't
were
hate it.
not what you were hoping for.
No, but
I don't know.
it's
I
not
just
bad.
feel like this is a week that he could be very good against a very lackluster Chargers team.
I'm with it. He's probably fine. My start of the week at receiver is going to
Mine's
be
better than
Jahan
yours.
Dotson. What's that?
Mine's better than yours.
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone Terry McLaurin here, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel a little bit to find a guy who's actually going to be surprisingly good. Here's what I found. So Jahan Dotson this year obviously he's not been great overall. If you were to take the season in totality, it's not what we would expect it. But there are some good signs to point to. The past 2 weeks, he's got 18 targets. Last week, he had 8 for 108 and a touchdown against Philadelphia. And the New England Patriots are also a terrible matchup for, sorry, they're a terrible defense. They're a great matchup for offenses. So I don't know if Jahan Dotson's going to have a great game, but it looks like he's getting reintegrated into the offense. He's not just doing cardio out there anymore, and he's got a fantastic matchup. New England's defense is terrible.
So, and as we said earlier in the episode, Washington just got rid of their defense, so they're going to have to score points to be in games, which means
I can see it.
The receivers are going to get targets.
Maybe this is the 1 week where that's an exception because Kendrick Bourne tore his ACL, and New England's offense is just as bad as their defense. But maybe every dog finds a bone.
Is Josh McDaniel going to go back to the Patriots?
Yeah. If Bill Belichick offers him the job, he will take it.
Oh, yeah. You should run to Bill Belichick's house right now.
I've got a feeling he's got a standing offer from Bill Belichick, too. Like, I don't even know if he's got to text him. I think there's just an understanding. Like, hey, if you're not working, you can come work for me.
Some guys are just... It's crazy how... Like, you can have one of the best offenses in the league, and then you go to be a head coach, and it's just... Some guys just can't handle it.
I don't know what it is.
Like Dan Quinn. Like, if you think if I hate Arthur Smith, you probably remember me back when, in the Dan Quinn days, I was ready for him to get out of there. But he's a great defensive coordinator.
He was not as bad as Arthur Smith, though.
No. We at least made it to a Super Bowl with Dan Quinn.
Yeah. Matt
blew
Ryan had an MVP. So.
We blew a lot of big leagues, but at least we were competitive.
Yeah. I don't know what McDaniels doesn't do as a coach, but there's something, obviously, because he showed up to a team that had gone 10-7 with an interim coach who had a quarterback. They got a stud receiver, and then they've just been worse. They've been terrible.
Raiders fans are begging, missing Derek Carr hard right now.
Yeah, I still can't figure out for the life of me why they got rid of him.
I wonder if they fired him because he didn't trade Devontae. I mean, they were probably going to fire him anyway, but like...
I saw that, and it's probably just kind of like a tin cap sort of conspiracy thing, but I saw that they might have fired the both of them because they did not want to trade Davante Adams, which doesn't make sense. Because the owner can say, trade Davante Adams, and they'll figure out a way to trade him.
I get not wanting to trade him, but you have a 30-year-old receiver who's clearly unhappy, and your team's in... I mean, it just desperately needs to rebuild. That's all it needs to do.
Yeah. You could trade Max Crosby and Davante Adams and have multiple first-round picks, I would imagine, from something like that. Like, would somebody give up their first? A team like, I saw that the Jets were trying very hard to acquire Davante Adams.
I saw somewhere where, like, definitely when March happens and the trade opens back up, they're going to go get Davante Adams.
I could see it. Yeah. That would be amazing.
You would definitely be able to get more for Max Crosby, just with Davante being a 30-year-old receiver. For real-life NFL standards, they probably won't pay first for him, but...
You could definitely re-up on some capital. I don't know. I don't know exactly what all the reasons were. Obviously, they sucked, and everybody was unhappy, and Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't good, and Davante was pissed. But...
what are you going to do?
I don't know. On that disappointment...
Terrible disappointment.
It is time to end. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you after Sunday. Next week, when we're breaking down all of the week 9
hopefully have 2 episodes
goodness.
next week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have 2 episodes. And hopefully nobody else gets hurt Sunday. We can just...
Please.
Can we just not have so many injuries? Please, and thank you.
this coming weekend, there's some good games on Sunday.
Yeah.
9:30.
Miami, Kansas City in the morning.
Miami, Kansas City. The Sunday night game, Buffalo versus Cincinnati. That's fantastic. Even Dallas
good
and the
stuff.
Eagles in the 4 o'clock window. Like, that's pretty good.
That's a really good game. Yeah.
Seahawks, Ravens in the 1 o'clock window. Like, there's a good game at all points.
Yeah. I'm very excited. Who's the Monday night game? Do you know? I can't remember.
Chargers, Jets. I feel like that one could get
Well.
kind of ugly.
That one may not be great.
Because the Chargers' offense is terrible. Or no, the Jets' offense is terrible. But
There
the
we
Chargers.
go. We are not going to blaspheme Justin Herbert on this show.
No, but the Jets' defense is extremely good.
Yeah.
And they have been known to shut down Josh Allen and Mahomes and other good quarterbacks this year.
Personal question: Lamar Jackson this week or Justin Herbert?
I'm not answering that because you play me.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
You figure that out on your own.
all righty. We'll see you, everybody.